Welcome back to Taiwan Outlook. Joining us today is Dr. Arthur Ding of the Institute of International Relations. Dr. Ding, is China's rising power affect the military balance in Asia in general?
I would say yes, because we all know that traditionally United States is the dominant power in this region. If China's capability improve rapidly, then somehow when we all know that if Taiwan Strait has a military crisis, then with increasing military capability, China is able to deter the U.S. from getting involved in any potential crisis. Then if U.S. will be deterred from getting involved, then his credibility will be damaged, jeopardized substantially. Then will will affect the regional order. So it's kind of China did have the China's military capability, quite increasing capability did have affect the regional order.
Is the balance of power gradually tipped in favor of the PRC in Asia, in East Asia in particular?
I would say how far China's military modernization program has gone is a matter of debate. But the consensus is there that China did make progress. And there's a potential, and probably it's not just a matter of potential, will be real that with the increasing capability, then the military balance will tip in favor of China. There's this kind of likelihood.
Yeah, traditionally, Japan is also a very important military power in East Asia. How does Japan read into the rising power of China?
Well, if we're reading from Japan's defense white paper, Japan shows more and more concern about China's growing military capability. So that's why one of the reasons that Japan wants to strengthen its security relationship, particularly the military relationship with the United States.
Yeah.
So, but on the other hand, particularly in the field of the economic field, Japan seems has more consensus that China is kind of opportunity. So we can see this kind of the gap between economic opportunity and the political competitor from the viewpoint of Japan.
Yeah. But as you just said, that we've been seeing the strengthening of ties, military ties, defense cooperation between the U.S. and Japan. What are the major features of their defense cooperation? Was the defense cooperation different from the Cold War period?
Actually, we know that before the 1995-1996 Taiwan Strait crisis, Japan has struggled for how far and to what direction its relation should be with the United States. But after 1995-1996 Taiwan Strait crisis, Japan seems found a direction. Yeah. That is the China. So we can see in the March 1996, Japan and the United States made a statement for we all know that the joint security arrangement.
That's right.
And following that, Japan joined the United States for the so-called missile defense program. And jointly they have developed some kind of technology. And also we all know that beginning in 2005, Japan and the United States had so-called 2+2 meeting. The so-called foreign minister and the defense minister from both sides, they meet for 3 times.
Yeah, 2+2 talk.
Yeah, +2 talk, yes. Yeah. And in the first time, they have so-called joint statement and bring Taiwan along with the Korean Peninsula as the so-called common objective, strategic objective. So, and following that, from the most recent media report, we heard that Japan is going to join the United States to have more detailed discussion and the military access over on what role Japan is going to play, in a Taiwan Strait crisis scenario.
Are these signs of Japan and U.S. cooperation in responding to the rise of China?
Yes, I would say, particularly from the perspective of Japan, as I said earlier, that before the 1995-96, Japanese government was struggling, over the direction and the degree, for the joint security arrangement with the United States. But after the Taiwan Strait crisis, seems Japan is firm in their directions. So as we also read from the Japan's defense white paper, the China's growing military capability is the major concern for Japan. Although Japan did not formally announce that China is the threat, but they have the deep concern with China's growing capability.
Yeah, you're right. I think China may be a very important threat to Japanese security. How about North Korea? Are these cooperations also responding to the North Korean, especially nuclear threat?
Oh yeah, I would say in terms of ranking, maybe North Korea is in the mind of Japanese people. Maybe North Korea is more threatening, and it's more imminent threat than China. Yeah. Because North Korea, we know that they launched Taipudong and several missiles, ballistic missiles, and falling in the Japan Sea. Yeah. So Japan has more concern about North Korea. Yeah. But next to the North Korea is the China. There's no doubt about that.
But as we know that North Korea has already passed across the threshold of developing nuclear weapons, and there are concerns about some sort of nuclear arms race or domino effects in East Asia, starting from Japan. Do you think that Japan may go nuclear in the near future?
Well, it depends on the circumstance, I would say. For instance, if United States can provide credible assurance, then Japan might not. There's no need for Japan to go nuclear.
Assurance such as what?
Assurance, for instance, provide the so-called umbrella.
But isn't that true that the U.S. has been providing nuclear umbrella to Japan all the way starting from the end of World War II?
Well, sometimes this kind of nuclear umbrella is credible or not. If Japanese government has more confidence, then there's no need for Japan to develop. But on the other hand, if North Korea's ambition cannot be stopped, then somehow, along with China's growing capability, particularly if the U.S. would be deterred, somehow with the China's growing military capability, then the timing will be ripe for Japan maybe to think about, do they should develop nuclear or not? Yeah. But it's very complicated the process, and depend on many different circumstances. So we all know that in Japan they have internal debate, and from many of the websites we can see the debate, the depth of this kind of debate. But so far, seems the Japanese government has not been determined to make final decisions. Say, okay, we want to go nuclear.
How about Japan? How about China's perception about North Korea going nuclear? As we know that China has been emphasizing the so-called nuclear-free peninsula, but look at what happened. So how will China react to this kind of development?
Well, there's no doubt the China for the past decades pursuing a so-called the nuclear-free for the Korean Peninsula, and in many of the mind of the analysts in China, the North Korea is really a troublemaker, but the Chinese leader had different calculations. For instance, if keep the North Korea, keep the regime, and they can tie the U.S. force down, and to balance, to make requests to give the United States pressure on the Taiwan Straits. So although if we read from the medias, many of the Chinese people really says enough for the North Korea, but for the Chinese leaders, they have different calculation. So they will not apply very strong pressure to the North Korea regimes.
Yeah. Another country that we may need to talk about is Russia. It appears to the outsiders that China has been trying to bring Russia on board and to upset the balancing forces such as Japan and the US. How do you explain Russia's involvement in China's military exercise and all sorts of things, including supplying arms to China?
Well, I would say, in international politics, each country have to look after its so-called national interests. Russia has been kind of frustrated after the collapse of the Soviet Union. They didn't get the sufficient economic aid as committed by the Western countries. And Russia lost its international status. They are not a superpower anymore. So Russia feel all kinds of frustration. So on the other hand, to sell weapons to China can help relieve China's bankrupt the defense industries. Yeah. So that's why, on the one hand, Russia want to sell more weapons to China so that the defense industry can make sufficient money for further investment, for the weapon improvement, so on and so forth. On the other hand, as a posture, to build up some kind of a close political and security ties with China can show, Russia remain important power, should not be ignored by the Western countries. But how far Russia will go, for the security relationship with China, there's quite a few internal debate in Russia, and I would say Russia have some kind of cautious. For instance, the arms sale to China, particularly for the technology transfer to China, they have some kind of reservation. For instance, the Sukhoi 27, the program, and the engine will not be transferred. The technology for the engine has not been transferred. So this can show that Russia has some kind of reservation with regard to its security relation with China.
Are you saying that Russia still considers China as a possible threat to Russian security?
Well, probably it's not in the near term, but Russia has to not in fully fledged the security, the technology transfer to China. Russia need to have some kind of make some reservation for themselves. So also, although China provide quite a few security system program to China, but Russia don't expect the military conflict in the Taiwan Straits.
But where do most of the China's technologies, especially weapons technologies, come from? In Russia or US or even Europe?
I would say that Russia remain the primary sources for China. And discovered, all kinds of program, Air Force, Navy, and some people say the rocket force. So the Russia remain the primary source. And assistance from Israel has been cut off under the U.S. pressure.
That's right.
Against Israel.
How about defense cooperation between China and European countries, EU countries?
Well, the EU's embargo has not been lifted yet, and seems the likelihood remain bleak, I would say, and because the internal politics in EU countries, and also the United States apply quite a few pressure to the EU countries. So that's why the technology or assistance program provided by European countries remain limited.
Yeah, apparently Taiwan will be the most affected country by China's defense, improvement of defense capabilities. So when we come back, we'll talk about security and peace cooperation and peace stability in the Taiwan Strait. Let's take a short break and stay with us.